everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Oh Shoot. I'm your host, Cassidy Lynne. Happy Monday. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I am wearing a beautiful butter yellow sweat set. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is also the bearer of good news. This is some of my new merch. A butter yellow sweat set. It says camera shy right above the pocket. I'm obsessed with it. It's probably one of my favorite designs of my newest drop. I don't really know the status of this drop yet. I'm hoping that at this point I have dropped some stuff soon. Who knows? But yes, little glimpses of my merch throughout the podcasts these past couple of weeks. So yes, this butter yellow sweat set, get a good look at her. She's got a cute little detail on the leg. The design is like a little guy hiding behind like a bush holding a camera. He's like doing like a peace sign, but he's like hiding behind a bush. It's really cute. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're having a great Monday. I wanted to talk briefly before we get into pause. We are doing more advice this week. Before we get into it though, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast. I think I'm getting confused because I made a TikTok about this. Basically, I've been getting back pain shooting weddings. And I remember a couple years ago hearing of people having back pain, and I would just be like, okay, and like, I don't know what that's what am I supposed to do about that? Like, don't know why you're getting that. Sorry, sucks, but like, whatever. Now that it's been happening to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally understand why people complain about this because it's like really annoying. But basically it's been in my like middle lower back, and I've discovered it's mainly when I shoe on my 70 to 200. Because I shoe on it without like any sort of strap or anything. And I physically arch my back in order to support myself holding that lens up. So it's not a great combo. But yeah, I've been having back pain after weddings and it sucks. And even like halfway through a reception, I'll be like, I cannot continue to stand because my back hurts so bad, which is obviously not how life should be. So working on my posture and all the things. So yeah, back pain is real. And I'm hoping that just like working on my posture, maybe potentially using some sort of strap system or whatever can help it. But low-key, I'm like, I just need to like tuck my tail a little bit more while I'm shooting, and I think I'll be okay. So here's my update on that. Okay. We've got advice today. So we're going to do an advice column, and these are from a previous advice column submission round. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I missed it. No, you didn't. We just got like, guys, I got 300 submissions for advice. So I truly am like, enough of you guys need advice that we got to do this again. Okay, so here we go. Submission 1. Hi, Cassidy. I needed as much advice as possible for growing my photography career when it comes to weddings. I have almost 10 years of experience with couples, families, and seniors, but I'm just recently getting into weddings, as in literally just shot my first wedding 3 days ago. I would love to do this full time in the next few years, but I feel a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to booking weddings. I'm currently in a bunch of Facebook wedding groups, and that's been helping a little, but I feel like there's so many photographers in the comments that it feels hopeless. What's your advice on booking weddings? Any advice on everything/anything you think I should know would be greatly appreciated. Best gear, best way to streamline my editing process. Much love. Okay. So you're asking the best way to book a wedding. Okay. So, I mean, tale as old as time, the best way to shoot and book a wedding is through word of mouth. If you can get people who hear about you, if you can like find someone that you know that's getting married that you can offer like a deal or discount to, that's the best way to get your foot in the door, is just by knowing someone that is getting married and then kind of going down that hole really helps with booking weddings. I mean, the Facebook groups, those definitely can help, but like you said, there's probably like 400 comments under one person being like, hey, I'm looking for a photographer. So that feels hopeless, right? I do think that marketing, like specifically on social media, is one of the best ways to book weddings. However, it's hard when you don't have the portfolio to show for it, right? You're saying you've barely shot any actual weddings. So maybe you need more in your portfolio. Maybe you need a second shoot more. You've said that you've been shooting for 10 years. Do you have a community of people? Do you have people you can reach out to and be like, hey, I would love to second shoot for you? That type of thing. That would be also a great way to start booking more weddings. Other things that you should know. I mean, okay, so you said best gear. For me, the best gear right now for me is my Sony A9 III, basically a full frame mirrorless camera. And then the 28 to 70 f2, 70 to 200 f2.8, and then my flash, the Godox V100 is my flash. Maybe throw in an 85 here and there, but that's really all the gear that I use. For editing, definitely recommend using Aftershoot, specifically for culling. That is one of those processes that I truly feel like Aftershoot does such a great job at. So, that's a great workflow. Always make sure you're backing up all of your work onto 2 separate hard drives. Never get rid of the photos until like at least 6 months after the wedding. Stuff like that. Truly. I feel like you start to get in a flow once you get used to shooting weddings. You figure out like, okay, at this point in the day, I usually like this lens, or, oh, I'm going to try, I need this. So like, for example, during the reception, I have a longer lens on me basically the entire time, because that's when I'm getting candids. That's when speeches happen. So like, I'm not able to get up close and personal, and use my 28 to 70. So I'm using something like a little bit longer. But then during like first dances, I do a combo of like my wide stuff. So I try to get like the whole dance floor, the ceiling. I try to get that vibe. But then I also get some close-ups of like their faces too with like my longer lenses. So it's a balance for sure. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's exciting. I hope you have a fun time getting into the industry. Okay. Hey girly, I'm a beginner photographer in Melbourne, Australia. Is that how you say it? Melbourne? Or is it Melbourne? Melbourne? I'll say Melbourne, but that doesn't feel right. I have 3 kids under 3, and I do maternity/couples/newborn shoots on the weekends, mostly because the creativity of photography is like a magic potion for my mental health. I just love it. I literally love the description of that. That's cute. But it takes me forever to cull and edit my shoots. I've been trying to use Aftershoot, but I'm just not sure how the AI editing works and how to get the Lightroom catalog. Could you run through how you would set it up if you were starting for the first time? P.S. Your podcast has elevated the way I capture my photography and taught me so much. I'm extremely grateful that you have created this community. Okay, thank you. So it's funny that I was just talking about AI editing. I did not know that submission was coming next. So how to set up Aftershoot. I would recommend going and like watching Aftershoot tutorials. If you're like, I do not understand this, go do that for sure. I'll just walk you through briefly how I use it. So the big thing for me is right after I shoot a wedding, I put all the photos. So for you, a couple session or whatever, all the photos go on a hard drive, importing from the hard drive into Aftershoot. And I'm starting the automated AI culling, which basically means it selects all the photos for you. I do standard groups. So I don't do few, I don't do a lot. I do the standard, and then everything else is normal, and I just let it run. Once I let it run, then it'll show me my 4-star and 5-star photos. And I'll do kind of like another rough cull where I'll go through and be like, okay, there's like way too many duplicates. So I'm going to go through and like get rid of a bunch. And oh, there's a blurry photo that I know I took that isn't in here. So I'm going to go into my blurry photos, 5-star, a couple of those, whatever. Then from there, you can switch over to the edit tab, and that's where you're going to have your like presets, your AI profiles in there. So you kind of have to go out of your way to make those profiles, but once they're made, it's super easy to just be like, take all the 4 and 5 star photos that you culled and add my preset to it and make adjustments. And it's like so quick. Even if you're not into the editing portion of it yet and you're like, okay, I do not like how Aftershoot edits, I still would recommend doing the culling, because the culling itself saves you so much time. And I'm not going to say the culling is perfect, because I have to go into Lightroom and I still have to delete a couple photos here and there, just like duplicates or random things. If you are like not wanting to use Aftershoot for editing either, you can sync your settings in Lightroom as well. A lot of the times, let's say you're doing a maternity session, I can guarantee you the lighting is going to be pretty consistent throughout the whole session with a couple exceptions. So if you're going through and syncing your settings across multiple images, it's probably going to work pretty well. So, yeah, that is how I would recommend using it. Okay. Our third submission. Hi, Cassidy. I absolutely love your podcast. I've been in the wedding industry for barely 2 years, and I'm still learning as I go, and I'm unsure if I should do anything about my current situation. For context, I'm in a group chat with other photographers in my area, and we mostly talk about locations and share ideas. Anyway, one of the photographers sent her updated website looking for feedback, and parts of her website were literally the same word for word as mine. It's not like illegal to do that, but it feels rude. She's not exactly in the wedding industry and seems like photography is more of a hobby for her. It's just weird that she copied me, literally copied and pasted, and then sent it in a group chat that I was in. What would you do? One of the hardest parts of running a photography business isn't the shoots themselves, it's everything else that comes with it. If you've ever tried to hire an assistant, a second shooter, or even someone to help with editing, you know how time-consuming it can be. Waiting for the right candidates, sorting through applications, chasing down people who aren't reliable or don't reply, it is a lot to handle. That's why I'm glad that there's ZipRecruiter. Their latest tools and features make hiring so much faster and easier, which frees you up to do what you actually love, which is shooting, creating, and working with clients. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/work. With ZipRecruiter, you can quickly find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See someone that you really want to talk to? You can unlock their contact info instantly. And with over 320,000 new resumes added every month, the chances of finding your perfect hire are better than ever. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site on G2. Head to ziprecruiter.com/work and see for yourself. Honestly, just like having the right gear makes all the difference on a shoot, having the right person on your team makes your whole business run a whole lot smoother. So use ZipRecruiter and save your time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ziprecruiter.com/work right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. This week's episode is brought to you by Aftershoot, and I have an exciting announcement that Aftershoot is launching AI retouching, which is now in public beta and it's free to use now until September 2025. So this adds a powerful finishing layer to the Aftershoot workflow. Now photographers can cull, edit, and retouch all in one tool without extra costs or the need for additional software. So a few key features with their AI retouching. It has skin smoothing for the face and body, which preserves natural texture, blemish and acne removal, flyaway hair cleanup, glasses glare removal, and it's built right into Aftershoot's existing workflow. So I'm super excited to partner with Aftershoot for this podcast. Specifically, the retouching tool is really awesome. Basically, what it does is you're able to import your edited JPEGs into Aftershoot, and there's like these little sliders for flyaways and face brightening and eye brightening and all the things. And it does such a good job. It's very, very fast, and something that would take me like a really, really long time in Lightroom, it does in seconds in Aftershoot. So their retouching tool is now available. And like I said, it is free until September. So go give it a try. The link to sign up for Aftershoot is in the description of this episode, and use Cassidy for a percentage off. All right, back to the show. This is one of those things that happens very often. And my advice to you would probably be to call it out separately. one-on-one, not in this group chat. No. We're not doing that, because that's where we start the drama. Starting a separate chat with her and being like, hey, just like, I looked over your website that you sent in the group chat, and I noticed that there were a lot of things that were copy and pasted word for word. I would love to believe that this is a coincidence, but like, it would mean a lot if you could change these things, because I like actually wrote these things out on my website for me and my website and for my brand. And you know, it's literally written the exact same way on your website too. Hope you can understand. Thanks for, I don't know if you say thanks for anything, but just hope you understand, or thanks for understanding, whatever. I do think you need to call it out, but I don't think that doing it publicly on Instagram, I don't think doing it publicly in a group chat is going to get you anywhere. This has happened. This specific story of so-and-so copied my website is so, it happens all the time. Not to minimize what's happening to you, but it really is so common. And the way I see it play out a lot of the times is people will take it publicly and then they'll start to create an enemy. Or like, I've seen it where two photographers that were in like a great community together turned on each other because one person thought the other person copied their website, and then it started turning into screenshots, and then they were just like bashing each other, and then they blocked each other, and it's just like, I don't know. And I wouldn't want it to turn into that for you. But you know, I think addressing it is kind of what you have to do, unfortunately. That's hard. Okay. Hi, Cassidy. I'm doing really well this year in wedding photography. Congrats. Good for you. I'm getting paid that sweet spot where I feel like I'm getting paid the perfectly right amount. I average about 4,800. I really struggled to say that because it says 4.8K. So $4,800 for my packages. Compared to before, I felt underpaid, overworked for not enough money, barely covering my overhead, which my packages were lower than $2,000. I've even booked my first international wedding. Italy, here I come. But I want to tap into the higher end of the market I finally reached. It's almost like I'm almost to the peak, like I can see it. My footing is right there, and I'm ascending and chugging along. But it's not a majority of my clients like I expect coming through my inquiries. What's the secret? How do I stay consistently booked and get the demographic that I am yearning for? Yeah. So how are you able to break into the next tier of weddings? This is also a question that a lot of people have. I think a lot of it, when it comes to like, let's call this like the luxury pricing, right? I think a lot of it has to do with the shooting and editing style that a luxury client is looking for. I also think a lot of it has to do with, have you shot luxury before? That's what really like propels you into that. Clients like to see themselves in your work. They want to see that you've, shot something like that before. So how are you able to do that? I mean, you've got this Italy wedding booked. I think that's going to be a great start for you to utilize that content and push that and get you into that next price range. I mean, even as simple as like raising your prices to like 5.2K or something like that. That's going to help you dwindle down a few of those bookings, maybe allow you to take like one less wedding a year. I do think raising your prices does help you break into the next market as well. But overall, I think I would focus on style. I would focus on shooting style. I would focus on the brand experience, things like that, things that are going to make you feel top tier luxury. Do you offer film? Do you offer prints? Do you offer client gifts? Not saying all of those are necessary to bring it to the next field, but in what way are you adding value into your packages that allows you to break into the next tier in the market, right? Yes, experience is a way that you can add value. Experience, gear, all of those things. But there comes a point where it's like you've probably maxed out on your gear, right? You can get more experience. You can work on your photos themselves. You can work on your clients and their experience with you. Those are all things that add value and allow you to push into the next step. As you add value to your packages, whatever that value looks like, that's how you get into the next tier. And value, something that you value, is not always something that your client values. So make sure that as you're increasing your value as a photographer in your packages, that value translates over to your client. If you are adding 500 2x2 prints to your package and you're like, this is going to help me break into that next tier in the wedding industry, your client, if they don't want 500 2x2 prints, they're not going to see that as any added value whatsoever. Okay. Because most likely someone doesn't need 500 2x2 prints. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, is like that value has to translate over to what your client also sees as valuable. Okay. Moving on. Hi, I'm a newer photographer and I'm already having a hard time with the thought of booking sessions months out in advance. I don't know why I didn't consider this more before I started, because how the heck do people know what their own life schedules will look like that far out? I do eventually want to get into weddings, but booking years in advance is so daunting and scary to me. What if my own family has weddings or events and I end up missing out on my own family's special occasions? I've heard of stories where photographers have missed their own siblings' weddings to photograph a client event. I'm struggling to balance the idea of this and continue to grow as a successful photographer. Help. So there is no one, maybe there's 1% of photographers who actually know their schedules years in advance. Everyone else is doing exactly what you said, which is they are booking things and hoping they don't have family events. There are certain occasions in life where I think if someone knows that you work weekends and they really want you to be there, they will ask you what your schedule is like. So for example, a sibling's wedding, I would really hope that your sibling would come to you and be like, I know you shoot weddings. Do you have June 26th free? Because that's the date we're looking at getting married and like we want to make sure you can be there. If it were the case that my sibling, let's say, booked their wedding on June 26th and I have another wedding booked June 26th, I probably, as soon as I would know, oh my gosh, I've got a client booked that day, my sibling has their wedding booked, I would probably go to my client and be like, hey, I'm so sorry. I don't think I can shoot your wedding. I can find an associate for you, or I could completely refund you and offer you referrals of people that are free because I have my sibling's wedding and there's quite literally nothing more important than me being there. I'm so sorry. And most people would totally understand that. So you're worried about booking things months in advance. The reality of being a wedding photographer and just any photographer in general, is the schedule. Your schedule is not flexible once you have something booked, right? So the question is, how do you deal with you missing family events? You're going to. You have to accept that. You are going to miss events, but that is the reality of the job. And there are other things that you get to go to. Even like during the day, like you can do things during the day with people. Like maybe you decide I'm actually not going to book sessions on Saturday nights. That's actually something I figured out pretty early on in my business is I don't want to book sessions on Saturday nights because most of the time that's when every single family event happens is on a Saturday. So I'm actually not booking weddings or events on Saturdays. Not events because a wedding is an event, but like a small session or something like that. Rather, I'm going to book my sessions for Friday nights or Sunday nights. If this person can only do weekends, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. And I would say don't let the fear, is this a cliche quote? Don't let the fear of missing out keep you from taking your shot. What is that phrase? Don't let the fear of striking out. Wait, hold on. Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from something. Quote, Cassidy Lynne. That's a famous quote, and I don't know what it is, but you guys get the gist. Like, just because you're afraid you're going to miss out on a potential family event doesn't mean that you shouldn't book a couple session for that day. It's important for you to book sessions and be able to put people in your schedule. That's quite literally the job, is putting people in your schedule and scheduling things. So having family things, it's going to happen. What I actually started doing is I started sharing all of my travel with my family. I have a shared family calendar with everywhere I'm going, what dates I'm going, because it got to a point where it's like, oh, like, Cassidy, when are you gone? When are you home? We want to schedule this, that, whatever. I'm like, now you guys can see all of it. It's all here. So then if you want to plan something, you don't have to ask me. It's there if you want to include me. If you want to still do something, that's fine too. Yeah, that was a very long-winded answer. Okay. Hi, Cassidy. I just want to start by saying that I absolutely love your podcast. Thank you for all the advice you give. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm looking for some tips on lenses. I currently have the Sony a7 III and the Sony a7 IV. And for lenses, I have the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 and the 35mm f1.4. I'm such a zoom lens girl that I never even use my 35mm, but I love my Tamron. I was just curious if it'd be worth it to switch my Tamron to a Sony G Master lens. But if I do that, then I'd probably have to get both the 28 to 70 and the 70 to 200. I just love that the Tamron is right in the middle. How much better do you think the quality of the photos are with the Sony G Master lenses versus the Tamron? Thank you in advance. I have a little bit of Tamron experience, but not much. When I was first starting photography, I shot on a 24 to 70 f2.8. And what I liked about it was the zoom aspect. It was the only like zoom lens available for me. But I did notice that the quality, specifically the focus, I think is hard. It struggles harder with focus on an off-brand lens. And I do think part of that is literally just the fact that like Sony is making a lens for a Sony camera. Sony's going to know the best way to make a lens to make that, focus kind of seamless. Each lens has different differences to it. Like different brands have different things about them. For example, with the Tamron, you're probably going to notice that the bokeh is completely different than a Sony lens. Now, I personally would say that if you're not seeing a struggle with focus, if you're noticing that your Tamron lens focuses great, then I would say the focal length is the next important thing. And if you're liking that focal length better than having to get a 28 to 70 and a 70 to 200, then I think that's great. Like, it sounds like it is a great lens for you. It sounds like Sony needs to come out with that lens is what I'm saying. It sounds like Sony needs a 35 to 120? Is that literally what you said? A 35 to 150. That sounds great. Yeah, honestly, send it my way. I'll give it a whirl. Like, that sounds like a great lens. I would say the difference in the quality of the photos, though, that's going to be something maybe you rent the 28 to 70 and see how you like it compared. I think that's the best way, because how you edit and all of that is completely different too. So I can't tell you exactly like how it's going to look. It's got to be your photos. You have to take them. And I know lots of people who use Tamron and like off-brand lenses and they work. So, okay. Let's see. Lots and lots and lots of questions. Okay. So, hey Cassidy, I'm Malia. I think that's how you say it. I'm Malia. I love the podcast and I've been an OG listener. I would love some advice on how to book wedding clients out of state. For some backstory, my clients typically travel out to Vegas for their engagement sessions, and they have their wedding back at their home state. I was wondering how I could pitch/ask them to travel me out there to photograph their wedding. They always say how much they love their engagement photos, but I want to find a way to push them to also hiring me for their weddings. Thank you for your advice. Ooh, I mean, the best push is making those photos absolutely fire and maybe offering them a little bit of a discount. I mean, in person, asking them, when are you guys getting married? What's your plans? If you guys need a wedding photographer, I would love to be your wedding photographer. A lot of the times, clients want someone that they already know and trust. And if you're already getting those Vegas bookings, that's a great time to pitch yourself to shoot their wedding. However, you might be finding that you're getting these engagement sessions in Vegas, but then like they already have another photographer booked, which at that point, that's a location thing, right? They're booking you because of your location, because you're in Vegas. So I mean, yeah, pitching yourself to your clients is really one of the best things you can do. And showcasing your wedding work tons on your Instagram. Even sending like a follow-up email after you deliver their photos being like, hey, if you're still interested in me doing your wedding, like this package is now like 10% off to you or something like that. And that's a great way to kind of like get it all in the door, get those clients in the door. If you do client calls with people before their engagement sessions too, you could like try to bump the sale and bump up the wedding package too. Like you can be like, hey, this engagement session is costing you $600, but engagement sessions are actually free if you book my wedding package. And that might get some people too. Honestly, you just have to say your piece. You got to say your 2 cents and pitch yourself. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Cassidy. I know that in order to get a good startup business going, I need to set my own standards, my worth, and my expectations for potential clients. Maybe I'm not doing something right, or am I missing something? Right now, I feel like I'm having to start over based on my style. That means a new and revamped website too. I began with more of a film look, but now I really like the vibrant fine art photography like Jose Villa. What exactly should I be doing to attract clients in my area, or even clients that will pay for travel like the fine art photography? Thank you. So a key, I do think, is getting that shooting and editing style right. You might not be shooting Selena Gomez's wedding, but Ashley, who's getting married at a barn that you book her wedding, shoot it as if you were Jose Villa. Use the lighting, use all of those things. Because at the end of the day, like, where do you think Jose Villa started? He didn't probably start off shooting Demi Lovato's wedding. Like, he started somewhere too. And you can't expect to just be like, how are my photos going to attract top tier clients? It's so much more than that. It is your work ethic. It's your word of mouth. It's your determination, your consistency. It's your connections in the community. Like, I don't know how Jose Villa books things. I don't know how celebrity photographers book their people, but I do know a lot of it has to do with word of mouth. A lot of it has to do with relationships. So, I mean, how do you attract clients in my area that are even willing to pay for that type of thing? You have to start somewhere. You really do. If you're going to start with like this super crazy $15,000 per package price, like, you're going to have a rude awakening because you don't have, it sounds like, hardly any of the experience to back that up. So, I mean, what should you be doing to attract clients like that? I think the rebrand is a great place to start. Rebranding your website, the marketing of it all, and building those relationships and connections. That's what's going to get you in the same shoes. Okay. I started sharing my work as a photographer to get the word out and share my art to family and friends. But it seems like just as I do so, I suddenly see my friends and family sharing professional pictures taken by other photographers. Keep in mind, I haven't seen them sharing pictures before, and suddenly it's a convenient or perfect time for them to show professional pictures on their social media feed, but they didn't choose me as their photographer. How do you not take this personally? I'm sure this happens to other photographers as well. And how does one cope with it? So my piece of advice is it's not that deep and don't look too far into it. Someone deciding to post their professional photos when you decide to post your photography, I think is probably a coincidence, or they're like, oh my gosh, wow, that works so good. Let me actually post. That reminds me, I got photos done and I never posted them, so I'm going to post them. Like, don't look too far into it. I wouldn't even say it's something that you would like, yeah, do not take it personally. And obviously the goal is eventually to be able to shoot those people's photos. And maybe that's something that you can pitch them. Maybe you send them their own post and say, hey, next time you want family photos, I would love to work with you. There is no shame in pitching yourself. There is no shame in being like, I would love to do this for you. Like that, yeah, it is what it is. Like you've got to make your bag. You've got to do it. I just don't think that something like this really is as deep as you're taking it. I would really let it be water under the bridge and just keep your head up and keep doing what you're doing. That would be my best advice to you, is don't let this affect you too much, because I don't think is as deep as you probably think it is. I think you just are like feeling a little insecure, a little imposter syndrome. It's very normal. But yeah, don't read into it, truly. Okay. Hi, Cassidy. I love the pod. I'm a senior in college and I've had my photography business for 2 years now, going on 3. I just purchased my first mirrorless camera and I'm booking weddings for 2026. I have so many blessings and I feel like photography is my dream job. I want to pursue it full time when I graduate, but the problem is that I don't have a steady enough client base to be shooting full time. I'm in 18 hours of school right now and planning a wedding, and I want to devote everything to my business, but I'm really struggling to do it all. How do I go full time? Yeah. I mean, you are gonna need to build that client base in order to go full time. That is the key. Building that client base might take a little bit more time. You said that you've had your photography business for 2 years. Might take 3, maybe 3.5 years. What you're in is what I call the hustle stage, where you have to be like working overtime to get it off its feet. And in order to maintain your life, right? You've got bills to pay. If you don't have a consistent client base, you've got to have another job. Okay. And that's hard. But what I love about photography is it's like a snowball effect. It keeps going. Like as you keep shooting, as you get better, you improve your gear, you work with more people, people start to talk, like you start to get tagged in things, you have more in your portfolio. It becomes easier and easier to book clients. Okay. So right now it might feel hard. It might feel like I don't know how to book clients. I'm not getting enough clients. It is something that takes time. But you do have to put in the work. You have to post on Instagram. You have to have a professional client management software. You have to do all the legal things. You've got to have the contracts, the invoices, all of those things. Yeah. You've got to be consistent. You've got to show your face. You've got to have a great website. There's a lot of things, a lot of puzzle pieces that fall into place. For some people, they can just go full time and they don't have all the puzzle pieces figured out. But the more pieces you have in place, the easier it is to get full time and make that become a reality. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Cassidy. I love the pod. I started listening to photography podcasts when I wanted to go full time, and yours is my absolute favorite. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. My question is about naming your photographs. Is there an easy way to rename or relabel them? Should I be doing this? It feels weird giving clients photos with weird names, but I wasn't sure if this is a common thing or not. Help a girl out. Um, this person also says, P.S. I'm sure I could just Google or YouTube this, but why not ask my Monday workday headphone bestie? You're so right. Who needs Google? Please, let's just talk about it. So naming your files, I guess it's something I've never talked about because I haven't really thought that it's been a thing that you guys would be curious about. But for me personally, I rename my files when I export them from Lightroom. So in the Lightroom export settings, I hit the little check mark that says like rename file. And the way I name my files is I name them Cassidy Lynne dash and then the original file name. So my original file names are usually like DC0859 or whatever. You could do Cassidy Lynne and then you could actually make it just like the last 4 digits of the file number. So it could be Cassidy Lynne dash 0004. I think it's important to have your name in that file name because whenever anyone downloads it, that's metadata that is kept within that photo. If someone uploads it to the internet, like it's connected to your name, which is great. So it's good to have your name as the file name. The reason that I keep part of the original file name within my new name is so I could tie it to a RAW if I needed to. So, if for some reason I'm like, you know what, I like that photo, but 2 years later, I want to re-edit that. So I can see, okay, in the gallery, it's named Cassidy Lynne 0004. I'm going to go back to my RAWs and look for DSC 0004. So it helps me locate the RAW file, which is why I would do like the original file name after your name. That's just how I do it though. If you guys do it any other ways, feel free to comment if you're watching on YouTube. Okay. I hate editing. Like truly, it's ruining my life. I already use an AI editing software, but I still feel like I drag my feet when it comes to getting on my editing. I'm delivering on time, but usually not until the day it's due. I never used to hate editing. I just feel like it's the season of life I'm in. I have 2 kids. I've been full-time for 8 years, so I'm steadily busy. I know I need to scale back on how much I'm taking on, but how else can I motivate myself to edit? Thank you, Cassidy. I love the pod. How do you find motivation to edit? Isn't that the question of the century? So what I've been doing lately is I've been romanticizing the process. Okay. I'm lighting a candle. I'm putting on my speaker. I'm taking my laptop somewhere fun and new. And I'm telling myself to avoid this, like the day before deadline thing. What I'm doing is the week leading up to my deadline, every day I have to edit 300 photos. That's my goal. 300 photos is attainable. It's easy. It takes maybe an hour. Okay. That is what I have found to be the easiest for me. I've also found that splitting my gallery into like in Lightroom, I split it up into collections and I do like the getting ready portion. I do family photos because what's easy about that is then I can sync a lot of my settings and like a lot of my photos look similar. So it's really easy to go through and like copy and paste them all. And then you're also breaking up the portions of your catalog as well. So let's say your getting ready portion is like 300 photos but then like family photos and detail photos, those are all like chunks of like 50 photos. What you can do is be like, okay, today I'm editing my family shots and my details, and then tomorrow I'm doing all the getting ready, and then the next day I'm doing all the wedding party. And what this does is it allows you to break it up over a course of multiple days. I don't find that editing for longer than 3 hours is good for me. It just is not good for my mental well-being. I get bored. I start to not care as much. I feel like my eyes can't actually see what I'm doing. So my encouragement to you would be, number one, a lot of people feel like that. And number two, I think it'd be good to kind of break up your editing into smaller chunks. You're still able to batch work though. Like 300 photos is a lot of photos to edit, but like you're still able to batch that and get in that editing mindset, but not to the point where you're burning yourself out and doing it for too long. Another motivation for you is if you don't edit it, no one else will. And then your client's mad at you. That's another great motivation. Picture your client just sitting there waiting for their photos. That helps. That definitely helps me. I do know that I have a lot of motivation immediate post shoot. So maybe you've got kids. Maybe after let's say you have a session that evening, when you get home, if you're able to right away be like, okay, I'm actually going to dedicate another 2 hours to culling and getting my previews out. That's a great thing to do right away while you have the motivation, while you're interested and while it was fun and while you're excited to see the images. Riding that momentum is also a great thing to do. Then you have less work when you go to like actually edit them. They're already culled. You've got your previews, like all good things. Okay. We're gonna do 2 more. Hello, Cassidy. I love the pod and I listen all the time. I know you get this question for advice all the time, but I would love advice to boost my social media. I would like to level up my captions, my feed, and how to grow my following. I feel like I've been stuck in the 300 jail for a while. I know the more I post, the better, and I've been doing my best, but I would just like more ways to help boost my level of Instagram experience. Thank you so much. And this person actually included their Instagram handle, which I've never done this, but we're going to do it today. I'm going to look at their Instagram and we're actually going to critique it together. Yeah. So, okay, perfect. So this is Emma Lee Photo. And if you guys want to look up her username, it's Emma. And then right after Emma is the name Lee, Lee _photo. So how do you boost your Instagram? Well, let's take a look. So what I notice on this person's feed is a lot of inconsistent editing. And the feed is not super consistent with like an overall vibe. I'm also noticing that there's a lot of like different niches and I'm a little confused as to what it is that you shoot. So, a little bit more consistency there as well. And then let's go to your reels. Okay. So you have 1 reel and you have 600 views. And it looks like your reel, it's a behind the scenes clip of a couple. And then we have the photos after, to a song. So my recommendation to you is giving more context in your videos. First of all, posting more videos. You only have 1 reel up. Posting more videos and reels, giving more context in your reels, giving me a reason to watch, as an outsider. And then your posts themselves, you're posting what you're posting. I don't think is like, I don't think you're getting me with that first image. Your first image, like there's 1 photo on your feed that is quite literally like a family shot from a wedding day. But to me, what's more interesting is having like a candid from a wedding day and that being the first photo in your feed. Something superposed like that, like a family photo shot, is not something that is very enticing to me. It doesn't draw me in emotionally. It doesn't make me want to keep swiping. So I think just working on the quality of your posts, I think that would help a lot. And I would say continue to work on your editing and your actual photos. That is something that like really makes a big difference with social media. Just working on the quality of what you're posting is really important. Overall though, keep doing it. Keep up with the consistency. I think that you got this. Okay. So 1 more submission. I'm holding true to my pricing and I feel okay about raising my prices this next year. I have totally lowballed a lot of weddings this year because of their budget, because their budget was on the low side of my packages and they still wanted what my full package included. I just hate saying no to inquiries and I don't know if I raise my prices, if I'll lose those potential clients because I'm out of their price range. I guess it comes with also knowing where my clientele is and what they see for photography pricing. I hope this makes sense. So it sounds like you're struggling with your pricing, right? You feel like if you raise your prices, all your clients are going to go away. This is a very common struggle. People feel like if they raise their photography prices, they're not going to continue to get bookings. And that's not the case. My first thing is like, you never know unless you try. So you never know if people are going to stop booking you unless you try raising your prices. And if you raise your prices, you can always lower your prices. Oh my gosh, crazy. So definitely would recommend trying raising your prices up. There's a time and season for wanting to take every single inquiry that comes in because, you know, it's like that's great for you and your experience. Sometimes you need that just to build your portfolio. But then there also comes a time where you have to start valuing what you do and seeing your packages as worth what you're offering. It sounds like also your clientele might be in that lower lower ballpark. Sorry, not ballpoint. It's a pen. It sounds like your clientele are in that lower ballpark and you kind of need to break into that middle ballpark a little bit. So raising your prices a little bit, or it sounds like in your case, you just need to stick to your prices, like stick to them, be firm, and just see where that goes. You know, a lot of the times too, your portfolio and your experience play into that too. So don't underestimate the importance of having a good, strong portfolio as well. I think sticking to your prices is a great thing to do. I know it's hard, but try it a couple times and see how it goes. If you stick to your prices and you're like, okay, and people aren't booking me, okay, let's reevaluate. Let's reevaluate our packages. Let's reevaluate the quality of our work. Let's reevaluate our location, all of those things, my gear, all of the above. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you like this episode. Advice, always dishing out the advice. We'll be back for another episode next week. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and thanks for listening.